How are y'all doing today, guys? Doing good? You guys enjoying the show so far? Pretty good time. Anybody stop by the Woodford Reserve booth over there? Have some whiskey? Yeah, thank you for that. So the ladies are passing around a nice little Manhattan. I figured that's a good way to say hello. I'll take one of those whenever you get a second too, because I don't want to drink by myself, and that's rude for you guys to drink without me. Thank you. So cheers, guys. Thank you for coming out today for the first day of the Texas Restaurant Association Marketplace. Like you said, my name's Charlie Moore. I'm the brand ambassador for Woodford Reserve. A lot of people like to ask, how do you get that job? Luckily, I've been working in bars and restaurants for a long time, about 20 years. I look like I'm barely 20, so thanks for that. But I've always been in restaurants. I've loved being in restaurants and serving people and being around people and interacting with people. And every time I try to do something else, I just get sucked right back into it. So I thought I was out of the business, but then Woodford Reserve asked me to come be their brand ambassador, talk to people about whiskey, and also other things that I'm familiar with, like building drink menus. So today we're going to talk a little bit about building a better drink menu. Introduction, that's that handsome guy right there. That's me. That's my mom's favorite picture of me. Third generation Texan. That's why I love being here at the Texas Restaurant Association's Marketplace, because I'm a Texan. Most of us here are. And I love doing that. Responsible for a fourth. My daughter is born in Texas too. Like I said, I've been in restaurants for about 20 years. I love cooking. I love serving food, everything about it. But today we're really going to talk about building a better drink menu. And this is kind of an overview of what we're going to cover. First off, we're going to discuss why your drink menu matters. Then after that, we're going to talk a little bit about some examples of buzzworthy drink menus. We'll get into engineering for profitability. And then we'll finish with a little bit of efficient execution, which we'll touch a little bit more on kind of batch cocktails, which is what we did for this. Everybody enjoy your Manhattan so far? Good, because I made all of them. All at once. It was really cool, but we'll talk about that later. So why your beverage menu matters? It's more than just a piece of paper. A lot of times it's the very first thing that you get when you come up to a restaurant or a bar. The second that you're seated at a table, your server is hopefully handing over a beverage menu along with the food menu. It's the very first piece of information people will generally look at when they visit your establishment. During peak times, it can also buy your bartenders a little bit of time, your bartenders and your servers. Here's your drink menu. I'll be right back with you. You can go do things. It gives people something to look at, something to muddle through, something to kind of help them along their decision-making process. And lastly, a menu can quickly convey a lot of information about your concept, kind of like what I just touched on there. So first, creating a buzzworthy menu, we're doing it for the gram. Today's consumers are very tech savvy. They're using Facebook, Instagram, Yelp, all these different digital means of communication to make their decisions on where they're going. But they're also spending a lot. They're also going out less, which is dangerous for us. But when they do go out, they're spending a lot more. So they're looking for engaging experiences that will keep them coming back, that will get them excited to go there. And your beverage menu is a great place to start. So we're going to consider a few different things. First of all, the medium, the way that your drink menu is presented. Secondly, we'll cover some of the drink trends that are current right now, and then we'll cover a little bit about digital concept. So just going into medium, these are some examples of some really awesome menus that have been put together. This is the menu at Trick Dog. This is their very first menu. It's a bar out in San Francisco. Since releasing these menus, they've constantly gotten awards based on these menus. The first one that they released was a Pantone color switch. All their drinks are listed on each one of those switches, and it breaks down the ingredients. It's something cool and kind of fun. Some other menus that they've done, Chinese takeout menus, they're really unique. The latest one that they're doing is Trick Dog Airways, where it looks like one of those things that you get in the plane that's in the seat back compartment. You fold it out, and that's what their drink menu looks like. They get lots of attention nationally from their drink menus. Another one is, this one is the Dead Rabbit in New York City. The Dead Rabbit releases a graphic novel, a comic book, and they feature bartenders from around the country as their characters in their comics. And then this one's a new one here in Dallas. I just happened to stop by the other day, and they released a surfer magazine. This is Trick Dog in Dallas. It's part of Harlow MXM. It's in Deep Ellum. If you're ever up in Dallas, go check these guys out. Their new drink menu, they do one every 4 months and it changes just like that. This one's a surfer magazine, which is a really cool way. All these menus get stolen all the time. They spend a fortune on printing these menus and people walk out with them all the time. Not a bad thing, because what they do is they take it home, they set it down on their coffee table, people come over, they go, oh, this is really cool, and then they want to go visit that bar. Same thing can happen in your establishments too. So we're going to talk a little bit about drink trends. These aren't everything that's hot right now. There's so many trends happening in the drinks world, it's kind of hard to keep up with them. A couple that are really popular, whiskey is back in fashion, which is a great thing for guys like me because that gives me a wonderful job to go out and drink whiskey. But I mean, whiskey cocktails are coming back really huge. Your old fashions, you can't make a drink menu without an old fashioned or a Manhattan on there, especially with Woodford Reserve. Don't forget that. Whiskey has grown so fast, especially over the last few years. We're seeing a 6.6% increase year after year. Vodka has been the king of the spirits world forever, and they're growing 5 to 6%. So we're actually growing faster in vodka. Catch up with them, but hopefully one day we will. Barrel aging is a great way to kind of add perceived value into your cocktail. All you do is you batch out a cocktail, throw it in a barrel, let it sit for 3 or 4 months, maybe even a month if you like. What happens, all those flavors meld together, the oak kind of subdues them a little bit, and you get a different tasting cocktail out of it. And then ice. Ice is huge. The coldest thing in your bar is one of the hottest trends on the market right now. There are ice companies out there that do nothing but make ice all day long. And they make these crystal clear spheres and cubes. You've probably seen them. If you have a restaurant and you want to do something like this, it's an easy way to add $2 on. Your cubes usually cost around $1.75 to $1, but that's an extra $1.25 on every drink. Not every drink, but every time you put one of those ice cubes in there. It's a great way to generate more income for your business. And then seasonality is huge. If you're not changing out your cocktail menu 4 months, maybe 6 months, it's hard here in Texas because we really only have 2 seasons, hot and football. But as you can see in other regions, during the winter you want to serve hot drinks that kind of warm you up. Whiskey's huge in the winter. When you're going into spring, you want to use fresh herbs, fresh citrus, all those flavors that really remind you of the new earth coming and all that stuff. Summer, tiki drinks are hot. They're really hot, or they're actually cold, but they help you in the hot summer months. And then in winter, you want to go back to or fall, you want to go back to your whiskey drinks, apples, pears, all those kind of stone fruit flavors that are really prevalent during that season. Seasonality isn't just for chefs anymore, it's for the bar as well. Digital content, if you don't have your menu on your website, you got to do it. You just have to. It's a digital world out there. Everybody's turning to sites like Facebook, Instagram, Yelp. They're all on those sites, and that's how they figure out where they're going to go and spend their money. Like I said earlier, people aren't going out as much, but they're spending more. You really got to capture all that, every dollar that you can. On your website, post your menu on there. On your Instagram, take really cool pictures and then post them onto your Instagram. You can also hit one button. It doesn't just share to your Instagram, it shares to your Facebook page as well. Your Facebook page should link back to your website, which has your cocktail menu and your food menu on there as well. And Yelp people don't like Yelp. Servers hate Yelp, bartenders hate Yelp, owners and operators hate Yelp. It sucks, but it's not going anywhere. So get used to it. Do your best to make sure you're 4-star rated, at least 4 stars. You got to keep it up with that. Train your staff to be friendly, welcoming. That's part of it. You can have the best dishes in the world, but if your service sucks, that's going to bring your Yelp review down. You're going to fall down the list, and then you're going to become irrelevant. It sucks. I hate to say it because I hate Yelp so much, but it's part of the deal now. And then digital media partners, you got to lean on them. Here in Texas, for Brown-Forman, we love to use Culture Map. They fit very well with our demographic. They advertise to people that we want to be advertised to. So kind of when you're looking at your digital media partners, kind of picture if your concept matches what their concept is too. and lean on them because people are looking at these articles. There's little short articles that they put out every couple days. People read those all the time, and that's how they make decisions as well. It also helps with your search engine optimization. The more kind of articles you have about hot new things that are happening in your restaurant, the more people are going to see that. The more people see that, the more they want to see your restaurant. And don't forget to keep those menus updated often. Anytime you do a menu change, if you run out of something, try to keep that updated. Great tip for you guys, if you're a smaller restaurant and you're doing it all on your own, Google Sheets, Google Documents, you upload it one place and then it goes to everywhere else. If you can link everything all in one document, you just do it one time and it's automatically updated just like that. So now we're going to talk a little bit about engineering for profitability. This is the big reason why we're going to be here today, so we're going to spend quite a bit of time on it. Like I said up there, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. You can have a really cool, hip, trendy menu, but if you don't engineer it for profitability, all you're doing is just kind of throwing stuff out there, hoping it sticks. This is going to help you design your menu in a profitable manner. Just like I said, it's got to be cool, hip, trendy, shareable. It gets them in the door, and then you want to engineer it to be functional. So we're going to talk about costing your menu. Then after you cost your menu, you're going to categorize all your drinks, figure out how they best play on your menu. We're going to design and configure your menu. And after that, you have to train your staff. Your staff is the front line. You have to let them know what's going on. And then you're always going to test and reconfigure. It's just part of the game. We're constantly changing, constantly evolving. When things like seasonality happen, you got to switch that up a bit. So costing your menu, cost of goods sold, pour cost, profitability per cocktail. I hope you guys really like spreadsheets because that's really the only way you could do it. When I first started out bartending, I had no idea how to use Excel. I didn't even know what it was for. I opened it up one day, spent a few hours on YouTube, and I taught myself how to create these awesome spreadsheets that are very functional and also help you kind of keep your costs in line. You need to know things like how much does it cost to make your cocktail, how much you should sell it for, and how much you're making per cocktail sold. All the most successful bars in the world, they're doing these things constantly. It's something you got to keep on top of. Whenever you're getting your invoices, you want to check them, make sure your prices haven't changed, because sometimes distributors change prices on you without really telling you. You just kind of got to be aware of that. Stay on top of your game. So like I said, this is the spreadsheet that I kind of came up with. It'll list all my products that I have. There was a button on here. Okay, there's no laser. But it has all my products, the size of the bottle. We're going to talk about bottle price, and then I break it down into cost per ounce. Cost per ounce is important. If you do this in a spreadsheet where you have this set up, and then it links into your cocktail costing formulas, here, which I'll show you here in a second, makes everything really easy. Like I said, you got to keep that updated constantly, though. And then it's kind of hard to see. If anybody wants a digital copy of this, hit me up. I'll email it to you. But this just kind of breaks down everything. It's all my spirits up there. I'll have juices, syrups, anything that's consumable behind the bar. I need to know exactly how much one item of each thing costs, how much one cherry out of that jar costs, how much one olive out of that jar costs, how much 1 ounce of simple syrup costs. I got to know that so I know how much it costs to make every drink that I make. That's not just liquor. I spent many, many years just doing liquor, and then my chef said, "You're eating up all my food costs from your bar." I said, "No, I'm not. Look at my costs." And then I looked at it again and added in all the fruit, all the juice, all the consumable products that I have behind the bar. Totally changed everything. I had to rewrite a whole new menu. So this is cocktail costing. So this is I took all the prices, just kind of made them up off of my head, just for the exercise. But cocktail costing, you got to know how much it costs to make every one of your cocktails. Break it down. Like I mentioned, like having that spreadsheet, the first inventory costing spreadsheet. If you link that into this, you can do VLOOKUPs. You type in Woodford Reserve. If you're selling Woodford Reserve, I hope you're all selling Woodford Reserve. I'm not going to try to do that too much, I promise. But you type in Woodford Reserve and it brings up the cost per ounce. It automatically populates into that cost per ounce cost per ounce box. Adds everything up. It'll show you how much it costs to make every drink. How much you type in how much you're selling it for. It'll automatically populate your pour cost for cocktail. And you kind of go from there. That way you know how much your cocktail costs to make. I want to touch a little bit on variable pricing as well too. This drink, it says costs $1.81 to make. If we're selling it for $9, we're making, it's a 17% cost. 17 is right about where you want to be for spirits and liquor. Your beer and wine is going to be about 20 to 25% cost. But some items cost a lot more money, like our Woodford Reserve Master's Collection costs quite a bit more than our Woodford Reserve. You don't want to sell that at 17% because you're never going to go through it. The longer product sits on your back bar, the more money you're losing. You're not going to have that constant cash flow going in and out of your restaurant. So variable costing, variable percentages, you want to adjust that. Instead of doing 17%, maybe make it 30%. You're going to lose, you're not going to make that percentage, but you're actually going to move product, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to make money here. We're not trying to have the coolest back bar. We want to stay in business. We want to move product. We want to get that bottle out, put a new one up there, sell it, and keep doing that. That's all we do. So now that you have your cocktails costed out, you want to categorize them. I break them down into 4 categories. Your stars are going to be they're going to be very popular cocktails, and they cost you very little to make. That means you make a lot more money off of them. They're perfect. If you could have a menu of all stars, that would be awesome, but it doesn't happen that way because there's always going to be something that's less popular. Guzzlers, they're going to be really popular, but they cost you a lot to make. A lot of your more expensive cocktails have premium ingredients in it. Your guests want a premium experience. You want to have that. You kind of have to have those on your menu, but then you balance it out with your stars. Your paradoxes, these are like, what do I do with these cocktails? You know, they're really profitable, but they're not popular at all. And then your duds, which are not profitable and they're not popular at all. They just sit on your menu. They don't move. Maybe get rid of those. Oops. So once you categorize them, your stars, you want to highlight them on your menu. Your guzzlers, you want to look for ways to make that cocktail more profitable. Maybe substitute out some ingredients that are a little bit cheaper to make or cheaper to keep on hand. Your paradoxes, you want to investigate as to why those cocktails aren't so popular. Is it your staff that's not fully trained on it? Is it just too esoteric for your consumers, your guests? Or is it just a bad drink? It happens. I've made plenty of bad drinks. Somehow they end up on menus and they don't sell. You fix one thing about it, and then all of a sudden they're selling. And then your duds, you want to consider omitting if possible, but there's always going to be one drink on your menu, even after you engineer it, that's not going to be as profitable, not going to be as popular. Try to figure out why it's not selling, and if you can't figure it out, just de-emphasize it on the menu, which we'll touch on here. Once you have everything costed and categorized, you know where you're making your money, where you could make more money. You're going to design and configure around that. Some of the most important things to consider when you're designing and configuring your menu. 1 is the format. 2 is the use of visual cues. 3 is going to be the list order. And then 4 is going to be your wording and your pricing. Excuse me. So formatting, we're just going to go over a few different styles of menu. This first one is a one-sheet menu. One-sheet menus are great if you have a casual concept and a very busy concept. You present one page, it takes the guest seconds to look over, they can find a favorite cocktail, order it, move on. The problem with one-page menus like this, it's so efficient that people usually only order 1 drink, maybe 2. They're not going to stay there and go through it. You only have a limited number of offerings, so they can try everything really fast. A 2-page menu, this is kind of my perfect menu right here. 2 pages. Excuse me, you can offer twice as many cocktails as you did on a 1-page menu. It's still very efficient like a 1-page menu. You're not giving them a ton of data to look over. You're not dumping all this information over them. You're not going to have so many ingredients where they have to go, oh, what's this right here? When you're formatting in these, your top cocktails are going to be the most ordered. Top left page, top right page. After that, it's going to be your bottom left page and the bottom right page. And then the middle kind of falls in between there. So when you're formatting this way, your stars are going to be up at the top. They're going to be highlighted. They're the number one drinks. You're going to move a lot of them. The next big area is going to be the bottom. You're going to put those ones that are not as popular but very profitable. And then you fill in the middle with the duds and the other ones. Now, 3-page menu, this one starts to get into that area where you're presenting too much information. 3-page menu, you're adding in double the amount of information you had with a 2-page menu. Now in here, it's important to notice that the first drink on the menu, on that first page at the top, isn't going to be your top seller. People are going to go into that 3rd page right there, the one on the left. Because when you're flipping through a menu, the first things, if you think about it kind of in the same way of food, the first things are appetizers. And then once you get deeper in the menu, you start getting into your entrees. These are your entree cocktails. These are ones that are more popular, they taste better, they have a higher perceived quality. So when you're engineering and formatting a 3-page menu, the top of that 3rd page is going to be where you want your stars at. On the bottom, or on the top of the 1st and 2nd page are going to be your 2nd tier cocktails, and then you kind of fill it in from there. That last drink on that last page isn't a bad spot either, because that's when you're flipping through your menu. If you kind of go with the food analogy, that's dessert. Dessert's a good place to drink too. Desserts are always popular. I love sweets, that's why I'm a big guy. That's not a bad place to put some cocktails either, because it's at the end of the menu. It has that perceived quality too. You don't want to do a book. You don't want to do a Bible of cocktails. You don't want to present people with that much information. What happens when you do anything more than a 3-panel menu, when you start getting into books, it's really cool to be like, here's our menu. We have 100 cocktails that we know how to make. Look at us, we're cool and we're hip and we know lots of things. But people are going to look at that first page, that first cocktail, and that's what they're going to sell. If you want to do a ton of cocktails, you have a cocktail bar that's heavily focused on cocktails, and that's your shining point, is we can make all these cocktails. Engineer it to where that first page is all your bangers, all your stars, the ones that make the most money and sell the most. Anything after that, it just becomes noise. People aren't really looking into that. There's a bar that I worked at that had a 17-page menu, and nobody ever got past the first page. Nobody wants to leave it. Nobody has time for that. People want things and they want it now. It's a very instantaneous society now. Visual cues we'll touch on here. You want to highlight your stars, the ones that you make the most money off of and sell the most. Put a little box around it. Change the font color, style, size. Maybe even look into like an asterisk or like your company's logo right next to it that says, hey, this is one of our signature items exclusive to our restaurant. You're not going to get a better one of these anywhere else. That's going to draw the eye to that item, and then that's going to help you generate more profits. List order, kind of touched on that a little bit going through the formatting, but where you have your cocktails listed on the menu is very important. I'm going to reiterate that once again just because it's a very important piece of this puzzle of putting together a cocktail menu. Where you have your cocktails listed on your menu matters most. On your wording and your pricing, you do want to use descriptions that make your high profitable drinks more enticing. Say you have a great old fashioned that you have on your menu. It costs you pennies to make. It's very popular because people love old fashions. Use words like house made or local, or you want to use those buzzwords that people are very big on. Sustainability, sustainable. Kind of hard to do with cocktails, but different thing. And you want to emphasize those words. Exclusive, select. If you have your own personal selection of a whiskey and you want to highlight that, say it, because people will be so excited that they can get that here and nowhere else. And also mention brand names. People want to know that they're getting a quality product at a reasonable price. That's huge. If you're going to use something, a nice premium whiskey like Woodford Reserve, then put it on your menu. It helps me make more money too. Whenever you're writing out your menus, don't list all your prices on the column on the right. It happens all the time, especially in wine lists. What happens when you do that is people think money. They think dollars. When you're out having a good time, you don't want to think about all the money you're spending. That's the worst thing in the world to do, because then you're going to start having buyer's remorse. You're going to start calculating the whole time you're eating, like, oh man, this is going to be a $150 dinner, and now it's turning into $300-400. We don't want people to think like that. We're here to give them stuff and then take their money, because that's what we need. Don't use a dollar sign either, because that takes people right back into thinking about money. You don't want people to think about how much money they're spending. And don't go overboard with descriptors. Yes, it's cool to use some words, but if you're taking something that should be this long and you're just filling it up with a bunch of fluff, it's all immaterial. It doesn't matter. People are going to see right through it. Staff training is huge. If your staff doesn't know how your menu is organized, how to present the menu to people, what's popular, what's profitable, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. They're your first line of defense. They're the first people that your guests interact with, and they're the people that are responsible for selling everything in. Make sure they taste the cocktails. Make sure they taste the spirits. If they don't know what things taste like, you're going to get things like, oh, I don't know how it tastes. And that's not a way to sell things. You want your staff to be excited about the cocktails. You want them to be knowledgeable about not just the cocktails, but the products used. And if you don't have somebody on your staff that's knowledgeable enough to teach them, reach out to your local distributors. They'll get a guy like me to come in and talk to your people. I will dump everything I know on them. Hopefully it sticks. And then I'll keep coming back as much as I need to have those people be able to sell my product, because that helps me. And that helps you guys sell more product as well. Test and reconfigure. You gotta constantly test that out. Once you get this menu going, give it to like 60 to 90 days, figure out what's selling, what's not selling, go back to your numbers, see if you're seeing improvement over the last quarter or last period, whatever you're doing. If you haven't seen gains, maybe reconfigure that menu. If you're seeing gains, there's even ways to make it even more profitable too. Just keep going back, checking your pricing, reconfiguring your cocktails if you need to, thinking about seasonality, and using all those tips before to kind of just keep generating more and more money. Now you can have a really awesome cocktail menu. Your staff can be very knowledgeable about that whole execution, but if you present that menu to people and you have 12 ingredient cocktails and you're not set up for that, you're not going to do any business. You got to be able to sling and ring. Get those drinks out there really fast, get that money, keep it going all night long. Little by the numbers here. If you shave just 3 seconds off of every drink and you're doing 300 drinks a night, you do 150 covers, each person's drinking 2 drinks. You shave 3 seconds off of that drink preparation for every one of those drinks. That gives you 15 minutes over one shift. That's that's an hour every week. And over the course of a year, that's an entire week of time that your staff can spend talking to guests, going back, selling them more cocktails, being engaging, being entertaining, building those relationships with your guests and making them regulars, not just one-time guests, but getting them back in the door. It's kind of weird to think about that. All these steps that I'm going to go over will shave at least 3 seconds, if not a lot more. So we're going to talk about your well configuration and your bar design. Bars aren't designed by bartenders. It drives me nuts every time it hurts. It physically hurts to sit here and do this and then have to run all the way down here to grab this one bottle and all the way back over here. And then I got to go there. Bartending is a physical job, and it hurts bartenders if you're not designing properly. You want your bartenders to stay there for a long time because they build a following. They get the regulars that come back all the time just for them. What happens when that bartender leaves after 10 years? There goes a lot of your regulars. Pre-batching. Everybody had a cocktail here. I made all I made like 100 of them in under 20 minutes. 100 cocktails, they all taste the same. They all have the same amount of product in them. I did it with the help of two lovely girls that just put the garnishes in it and iced the cups down. It took me less than 15 minutes to make 100 cocktails. And then we'll touch on large format drinks, which are a pretty cool thing right now too. So when you're designing once you get your menu all ready, you want to configure your well to be functional and efficient. Every single item that goes into your cocktail list should be right here. In your well, right here. All your tools are right here. Everything's in one arm's reach. You can efficiently pump out cocktails really fast, being right in here. We'll look at some designs here in a bit that really showcase that. A pivot, right here. I'm getting something off the back bar and coming back, or it's right there. That's all it is. Those are your secondary ingredients, things that are popular but not on your menu. Because remember, we designed this menu to be profitable. So we want to sell those first. But then, I mean, if you don't have Grey Goose in a cocktail, somebody is going to order Grey Goose. Have it right here. So where you can grab it real quick. It's just right there, boom. One step, instead of just a pivot, I got to move down one step to grab something. Those are going to be things that you rarely use. And then anything past that is stuff like your Galliano. Stuff that sits there and collects dust. Stuff that you don't want to have to walk all the way down there. Nobody's going to order that. Keep it down there. All the stuff that you really need needs to be right here, within one arm's reach. If you do that and you design your bars that way, you're going to have happier bartenders that love to work for you, that will generate you tons of money. Now we're going to look at a couple different bar designs. This one's from the this is the Tobin Ellis line from Perlick. As you can see, it's got a little cockpit right in there. Everything's right here. Super efficient, really well set up. All your juice, all your condiments are there in a refrigerated bin. You have your glassware, all your tools up top. You have everything for your cocktails all right in there. If you have an ice program that has more than one type of ice, you can put dividers in there to break it up, and then you can have everything at your disposal right there. The beautiful design is made by Perlick. Perlick has been doing this for a long, long time. They make great products. It's a little pricey though. This one is from Francesco Lafranconi. This is his racetrack design. As you can see, it's another cockpit style design here. You have plenty of room on the sides for all your well liquors or all your cocktails. You have, look at that big old beautiful piece of ice. Your bartender can sit there and hand carve ice right there. He doesn't have to go all the way to the block, cut a piece off, and then come back and sit there and chip it. It's all happening right here. Engaging with his guests the whole time, not stepping away from your well. It's all right there within an arm's reach. And then this is another beautiful one I saw. This is from Revelation Cocktail Bangkok. So many products fit right there. They've thoughtfully engineered this well to contain everything that a bartender might need to execute 10, 15, 20 drinks at a time. Everything's right here. Your bartenders are happy. They're not using more energy. At the end of the night, they're still ready to go. They're still as happy and lively as they were that first hour in the shift. And I've been a bartender. I will be the first to admit I'm a cranky person at the end of the shift because I'm hurt, I'm tired, I'm in pain. Designing your well to be more efficient is going to help your bartender stay happy. Pre-batch cocktails. This is a great way to really pump out cocktails. Like I said, I made 100 drinks in under 20 minutes for everybody, garnished, iced, ready to go. They all taste great. It's a proven recipe that I use all the time. All I do is just multiply it by how many guests I want, make one big old batch of it, add water for dilution, serve it over ice, done. That's it, so quick. It's great for large parties, private events or banquets if you're in a hotel and you have to serve a lot of people really fast, or if your staff isn't trained, like your banquet staff is hardly ever trained in a hotel properly. This is a great way to make sure that your banquet guests are getting great cocktails as well. A couple tips for batching cocktails. You want to lean towards your more spirit-forward cocktails. This Manhattan, perfect way to do a batch cocktail, old fashions. Anything without anything without juices, cream, egg, You don't want to batch those things because they will go fast really quick. If you are doing a cocktail, if you have a 12 bottle or 12 ingredient cocktail, you can pre-mix all your spirits all together, everything except your juices. That way you're cutting down on the amount of touches that you have to do. Instead of grabbing, for like a Long Island iced tea, you got 4 liquors. Instead of doing this and this and this and this, make a Long Island mix so you're just doing this. Add your juice, add your syrup, shake it up, top it with your Coke. Easy, it cuts a lot of time off. Yeah, that's about it. And then you can even do like straight spirit cocktails. Like I could put this Manhattan, make a big old batch of it, dilute it down to about 10 to 12% dilution, bottle it up, put it in the fridge. All I have to do to sell a cocktail, right there, pop it open, $14, sir, done. Easy way, that took 10 seconds. What you're doing is the same thing a lot of chefs are doing in the kitchen. You're doing all the work ahead of time. That way you can make things come out faster during service. Like I said, that's bottled cocktails. That's as easy as that. You can get the little swing top bottles, put a cute little label on it. You can get like custom stickers with your logo on it and put it on there. All kinds of different things you can do with bottled cocktails like that. This is one of the most efficient bar designs in the world. The daiquiri bar, they have drive-through daiquiri bars. You don't even have to get out of your car, and somebody can pump out cocktails that fast. It's like the McDonald's of booze. All you have to do, you make a big batch, you freeze it, done. $10. Anybody go to New Orleans a lot? I love New Orleans, it's my favorite. All these daiquiri bars everywhere, they're cash cows. They make a ton of money. Shady stuff going on sometimes. You can put really cheap booze in there and then charge people a lot more, but we would never do that as members of the Texas Restaurant Association because we are all members of the highest integrity. And then cocktails on tap. If you have a draft system, you can put wine on tap, you can put beer on tap, you can even put cocktails on tap. Super easy. Again, you're making a big batch, put it on tap. There are some things you have to take in consideration though. Anytime you're doing cocktails on tap, if you change that cocktail, you're gonna have to change the lines because a lot of those flavors will be stuck in that line. Pressurization, you can even carbonate cocktails. You could do a carbonated Manhattan. You just turn your pressure up way high, it pumps in carbonation into that drink, comes off like a sparkling Manhattan. Again, another way to really increase the efficiency behind your bar. Large format cocktails are a big deal right now too. Instead of serving 4 old fashions, I can sell you, or I'm sorry, let's talk about a Moscow Mule because it's super hot right now. Everybody's doing Moscow Mules. Instead of doing 4 Moscow Mules, get one of them big, huge Moscow Mules, put 5 straws in it, there you go. $100. This bar that I worked at, they sell Moscow Mules for $10 a pop for one individual drink. They sell the big, large ones for $100, and it's the same size as 6 or 7 Moscow Mules, so they're making an additional $30 on top of that. But because it's a shared experience between a group of friends, people are willing to spend a little bit more. Not only does it look cool, like having a bunch of people around a mug, people are taking pictures and posting that online. They're tagging your restaurant. I just had this really cool, me and my friends just had this really cool Moscow Mule at the Standard Pour, because that's where I was working at that had that. We just had this huge Moscow Mule at Standard Pour, and it's awesome, and people are seeing this and they're generating likes. They're tagging your restaurant in that, and you're getting more likes for your restaurant off of their social media posts. And then that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I'll open it up for questions if anybody has some. Yes, sir. No, it's not against the law, not against TABC to do it as long as you don't put it back into that bottle that it originally came into. Because that bottle has a sticker on it. It cannot be used for anything else after that. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, sir.
So on the pre-batch system,
Yes.
is it not, especially when you have the guests at the bar, don't they want to pay to see a show? Wouldn't you say they want to see you making the drink?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, isn't maybe they're concerned that you're shortening them maybe?
Very good question. This works really big for bars that do a lot of volume. Get things out there. Yeah, no, if you're an operator, you're going to understand it. You're like, oh, this is efficient, this is fast. But like I said, people want things now. And yeah, they do want to see a show for $12, but at the end of the day, they're thirsty. They want their drink now. I don't know, most people would rather have something in their hands and enjoying it rather than enjoying a show. There is a little bit of pushback with it, but as long as that drink's still a quality drink, they're going to be happy at the end of the day. They're still going to feel comfortable. Okay, yeah, I spent $12 on this. I got it quick. It tasted good. I got another one. You know. But yes, sometimes some people do want that show, but that's just something that you explain to them. Hey, this is built for efficiency. If you'd like to wait a little bit, I can still make this a la minute for you. Because you still have all those ingredients at your disposal. So, you know, if somebody's really pitching a fit about it, make one for them fresh that time. You know, hopefully it's not going to taste any different than the one that you've already batched out to. Anybody else? Yeah.
West Texas, what's the big block ice? What do you make of that?
The big block ice? I mean, usually people will take the big blocks of ice and break them down themselves into individual cubes. They also work great for punches, like those large format cocktails. You take a large piece of ice and throw it in there. The purpose of having a larger piece of ice, it melts faster, but still chills the cocktail. It still has the same efficiency at chilling the cocktail. Because it's a larger cube, or because it's that crystal clear ice that they have, it's going to be dense. It's not going to melt as fast, but it's still 0 degrees Celsius. It doesn't have as much surface area, so it's not going to dilute as fast. But it still keeps it cold. Yes, sir. For those round cubes, if you're here in Texas, and Specs sells fat ice, Specs will wholesale ice. There's also, I just met somebody here. They're in a booth over there. They would love to talk to you about getting good ice over there. So all you do is go all the way to the end, go past the Woodford booth a little bit, and I'll send you right by them. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. If you have any other questions, I'll be over at the Woodford booth right over there. We can chat more.